Hi, my name is Sandra Bailey. I'm the founder and owner of Women Financial Power. Our firm was established to empower women, yes, you, with your finances. We love to assist you in gaining and remaining financially secure throughout your life. Yes, your entire life. So today's topic, let me share my screen. We're going to be focusing on retirement income planning. So let's begin. At Women Financial Power, we seek to accomplish three planning goals with each of our clients. We would like to look at a retirement income plan to replace the income you earn today, right? Because when you stop working, you want to replace your income. A long-term care protection plan, because if you're lucky, there are 30% of individuals over 65 that will not need long-term care. So you may be one of those 30%. However, there's 70% of individuals over age 65 that will need long-term care. And 80% of those women, 80% are women. And you yourself may know someone or may even know a caregiver or be a caregiver yourself. Then finally, we want to help you with a legacy plan to maximize the income from your 401k savings. Because when you think about that, do you want to leave the majority of your money to the IRS or to your loved ones? Now, we specialize in the same type of retirement plans used by executives, college coaches, and the wealthy. But this presentation, we're going to touch bases on all the different types of retirement plans. However, non-qualified plans are safe. They don't put your retirement at risk, and they normally generate more income for the average person. So let's look at the three phases of retirement planning. It's like climbing a mountain. So this is Mount Everest here. So when you're going up the mountain, you're in the accumulation phase. You're building your wealth, right? Then you want to protect your wealth along the way when you're there. Then when you start descending and climbing down that mountain, you got to figure out a way to distribute your wealth. How are you going to get your wealth out now that you've been saving all this time? So the question is, where are you on the mountain? You know, we may be in different places, but where are you on the mountain? So hopefully this presentation will help you wherever you are on the mountain. So we look at the accumulation phase first, building your wealth. And what you have to think about is the you today is going to be the you that will take care of you tomorrow. Do you want to put that burden on someone else? So the you today is going to take care of you tomorrow. So when we think about the retirement phase, of course, we're looking at our savings, but we have to think about expenses in retirement, insurance along the way, because insurance, of course, we want to transfer the risk to somebody else and not take on all the risk. And then we have to look at the medical parts of retirement because a lot of money is used in your medical expenses during retirement. It's a proven fact. So Dr. Martin Luther King said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. So maybe you can't start saving a lot now, but you can start saving something. You can start small and you can increase later. And you think about how much will you make over your lifetime of working. Think about your salary today, your salary when you first start working, and multiply that by the number of years you worked. You'll be amazed. A lot of you have probably made several $1 million in your lifetime, or at least $1 million when you think about the time that you worked. And you think about how much have you saved on that? Are you spending a lot of money? You know, do you like to buy new cars versus used cars? You know, when I've never bought a new car because, you know, once you drive it off the lot, it's depreciated, right? So you think about it, if you pay $65,000 for a car, a new car, when you could have gotten it a year or 2 years old with low mileage, then you could take the rest of that money and put it into some kind of investment vehicle that's going to contribute to your retirement planning. And when you think about savings, are you contributing to an emergency fund? You've got to have an emergency fund set up first, because what's going to happen if things happen? If you get a flat tire, your car breaks down, you have things happen on your job. We know last year, a lot of people lost their jobs because of COVID. What happens if you need to get your house repaired? Where will that money come from? Do you have an emergency fund set up for that? So then, as soon as you have an emergency fund set up, now it's time to start with your retirement planning. Okay? So let's look at the different types of retirement plans. Congress established two retirement systems in America. We have the qualified plans, which the majority of people know about the qualified plans. During the 1800s, the traditional pension plan came out, but as we know, a lot of companies don't have traditional pension plans anymore. But you would work and then you retire, you had a pension coming to you. There's still some companies out there that have pension plans, but there are a lot of companies that don't. Then we have the portable pension account that came out in the 1900s, 1908, where you could take money, lump sum of money with you out of that pension plan. Then in 1978 to 1980, the retirement savings plan was established, and those were your 401ks, 403b plans. And basically, the man who established the 401k plans, he didn't establish that plan to be a retirement plan. He basically set that up because wealthy people needed to defer their taxes. So he found a loophole in the IRS tax rule. I guess it wasn't a loophole, it was an IRS rule 401k that said if you defer money in the 401k retirement plan, you could pay taxes on it later instead of paying taxes on it today. And so you have to think about that. Do you want to pay taxes today? Do you need to save on taxes because maybe you don't have enough write-offs? Maybe you make a lot of money, you need more write-offs. Then a qualified plan may be good for you. But if you don't need a lot of write-offs, then maybe you don't need a qualified plan. You have to think about it like this. If you were a farmer and you went to the market and you bought seeds, then you brought those seeds home and you planted them, and then you had a whole crop of harvest. So would you rather pay taxes on the seeds or the harvest? So that's what you have to think about. So then there are non-qualified plans. Now, non-qualified plans came about during 1940s. That was a long time ago. And with those non-qualified plans, you'll be amazed at these plans. They have these non-qualified deferred comp, split dollar. Some of you may not even heard of these plans. They have company-owned life insurance. They have bank-owned life insurance. So what this presentation is meant is to help you decide how to best use each one of these plans in your retirement. So I put this in here because I know I never noticed this when I was in corporate, but this is just a W-2 that if you're working and you're not a business owner, you get a W-2. So if you notice here under item 11, it says non-qualified plans. But see, your qualified plans will be over here, and that's what we all see. But there's non-qualified plans as well. So your qualified plans, box 12 that we saw, we just talked about your 401k plans and all those. They require you to be your own pension fund manager because you put money in the 401k, and a lot of people know how to do investments and a lot of us don't. But if you have your money in the 401k, you are basically the pension fund manager of your account. Now, some companies you can pay a fee and somebody can manage that for you. You have contribution limits with a 401k. You can't put however much you want to. There are limits that you can put into a 401k. You can save your taxes now or pay your taxes in retirement, like the seeds and the harvest. When you are 72, it was 70 and a half, but the Secure Act pushed the required minimum distributions to age 72. If you don't take out your money at age 72, there's a small amount called required minimum distributions. They establish a minimum amount of your 401k or your qualified money that you must take out. And if you don't take it out, the amount that you should have taken out will be taxed 50% penalty. That's taxing half of the money. So you really have to watch it with your qualified money. When you're 72, you have to start taking it out. So we're going to touch bases a little bit on the Secure Act. They extended it so you can contribute to a traditional IRA at age 70 and a half. You used to couldn't do it until, well, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. You can contribute to a traditional IRA after age 70 and a half. Prior to the Secure Act, you had to stop at age 70 and a half, but now you can continue to contribute to your IRA. Stretch IRAs are gone for most people. You used to be able to inherit IRA from someone, or a loved one could leave you as a beneficiary to their IRA, and you could stretch it throughout your life. But now with the Secure Act, you have to use that money up within 10 years. So stretch IRAs are gone. People are using life insurance now to leave a legacy, because if you left, a lot of your 401k to a loved one, they have to use it up in 10 years, except for if it's a spouse. There are exceptions for a spouse. And also, 401ks now will start including annuities, because when you retire with a 401k, you don't know how much money you're going to have. We estimate that for you, but with the stock market going up and down, you don't know. So the Secure Act is saying that a lot of 401ks can include annuities now, and that is a great thing. So then you have non-qualified plans. And when I was working in corporate, I heard of the golden handcuffs, but I didn't really know what it meant. The golden handcuffs were these executive bonus plans that corporate America offered these executives. And it was meant to keep them there. They would offer them these great plans, these bonuses. The executive couldn't say no. They wanted to stay so they can get the benefits of that non-qualified plan. Now, other non-qualified plans, you can have a Roth 401k or a Roth 403b. And then you can also have these executive plans. And they were mainly for high net worth people, high income executives, and they could put in an unlimited amount of money in a non-qualified plan. But with the Roth plans and the qualified plans, you have a cap. With these plans, you don't. If you want to know more about non-qualified plans, you can go to mynqdc.com. Other types of plans, these executive bonus plans are mainly for business owners, and they have a special code under IRS Section 162, but that only applies to C Corps. If you're a business owner, we could talk about that later. Now, this was an interesting article. Most people have or know about Regions Bank. So Regions CEO Grayson Hall, and this was in 2015. So some things may have changed, but in 2015, he earned $14.4 million, which included a base salary of almost $1 million. He had incentive earnings of $3.7 million, stock awards of $3.4 million, but it says change in his pension and non-qualified deferred compensation of $6 million. So Grayson Hall, the bank CEO, had the majority of his money in a non-qualified deferred compensation plan. So this article was written in 2014, and it says life insurance, a top funding vehicle in executive compensation plans. More than 7 in 10 business owners use life insurance to fund their non-qualified compensation packages for their key executives. Notice it's always key executives or high net worth individuals. And it goes on to say 73% use company-owned permanent life insurance, or COLI. And COLI stands for corporate-owned life insurance. So if we look at the chart, corporate-owned life insurance was used 73% of the time for non-qualified deferred comp plans and 82% of the time for defined benefit and CERT plans. And you look down here at mutual funds and company stocks at the low percentage that they were used to fund their executive compensation plans. I thought that was very interesting. This article, some of you have heard of the University of Michigan football coach, Jim Harbaugh, and it says cash value life insurance makes Harbaugh college football's top paid coach. Very interesting article. But it says what most people don't know, however, is that the compensation strategy was designed to provide Harbaugh with millions of dollars of tax-free cash during retirement. But is one that can also be incredibly effective on a much smaller scale. So you don't have to make the millions of dollars that Coach Harbaugh made. You can make an average salary and still have the same type of non-qualified plan that he has. And this is the last article I put about the coach, but you can Google his name under retirement and all these articles will pop up. This is a Forbes magazine article on how to use life insurance in your retirement planning. And this is so neat. It says, investing in the market without taking losses. Is it too good to be true? I've actually had somebody say to me, that's too good to be true. But this was written by Forbes magazine, and nobody, just anybody can't write for Forbes magazine. But it says IULs appear, that's a firm of permanent life insurance, and you can use different types of permanent life insurance. But he used an indexed universal life plan. It says they appeal to many executives and business owners because of the advantages they provide. All right. The cash value within the policy grow tax-free over time. You can withdraw the money tax-free at any age. You don't get a penalty for the money. When you pass away, your beneficiaries get a death benefit. So your family is protected and you're protected as well with income tax-free money for retirement, which is cool. And I thought this was neat. It says the little black book of billionaire secrets. So we're here to educate you what the millionaire and billionaire and the wealthy people are doing. So the investment vehicle that we just learned for non-qualified plans are corporate-owned life insurance, bank-owned life insurance. And you may say, well, I am not a high net worth individual or an executive, but you can own your own personal owned life insurance as well. So then we come to protecting your wealth. So Albert Einstein said, compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And that is just so true. When you think about it, there's only 4 places that you can put your money that's safe, right? And you kind of think about that. You can put your money, under a mattress or in a jar or somewhere like that, buried in your backyard. You can put it in government bonds, you can put it in bank, or you can put it in insurance products. And so the thing about this article is learning what the rule of 72 is, because basically the rule of 72 says if you divide the annual return by 72, that's how long it's going to take your money to double. So if you have money in the bank, then you know the bank pays less than 1%. So I'm just going to put 1% because less than 1% is too hard to figure out. So if you take 72 divided by 1%, it will take 72 years for your money to double. So if you have money sitting in the bank, money market, or something like that, take it divided by 72, what that interest rate is, and that's going to determine how long your money is to double. Now, if you were getting 8% rate of return, then it would take 9 years for your money to double. So you just have to think of that in mind. You have to keep that in mind, how long it's going to take for your money to double. So let's look at the impact of market losses. When you put money in the market, you're going to make money and you're going to lose money. But what's the impact of it? And let's look at, like, if you had 100,000 and you lost 10% in the market, now you have 90,000. But to get back to where you were, you need to gain 11%. All right. You have to make more to get back to where you originally were. So I'm going to challenge you with this simple math question. I just want you to text or email me the answer. If you had $100 and the market dropped 50%, then what do you have? You have $50, right? Then the next year, the market went back up 50%. So how much do you have now in your bank account? The financial, let's see, the stockbrokers, they will say, you got 100%. The market, went down and it went back up. And so you're back where you are. But if you look at this math, it's not what the percentage of the market did, it's what do you have left in your bank account. So text me or email me your answer. Now let's look at the lost decade. This was some serious business that happened. We had two enormous recessions. One was the dot-com bubble in 2000, and then you had the housing bubble in 2008. And I really remember the 2008 housing bubble. I was working, and at that time, we didn't want to look at our 401k statements because we lost so much money. So basically, if you were in the stock market during 2000, and then in 2009, you probably didn't make any money. Or if you had 100,000, you probably end up with $100,100. It took 10 years. They call it the lost decade because it took 10 years for you to make your money back up. Now, fast forward to last year, 2020, coronavirus hit. It was the worst day in March, and everybody lost so much money again. However, by the third and fourth quarter, people started making their money back. So you have to think about it. If you're planning for retirement, do you know when the market is going to rebound? Like, do you know if there's going to be a lost year, a lost decade? Or do you know if it's going to be another coronavirus year when it came back quickly? So that's just something you have to think about. So this is called the power of indexing. So we'll look at this chart here. So the red is the stock market. So of course the stock market goes up and down, and it's just all over the place. And when it's down, everybody's crying. And then it starts going up and everybody's having a great time and they're happy that they're in the stock market. So that's one place to be. Now this blue line is just a fixed amount of money. You can get like a minimum guarantee value if you have it in certain contracts or annuities, or if you're in the bank, like the bank is going to be a very low amount versus an annuity. But say you had a constant 4%. There's some retirement plans I know out there that had a 4% fixed rate. And a fixed rate is good because if you look at it versus the stock market, every year this account has a fixed rate and it's going up. All right. So you never lost anything. It's going up every year. Then you have something that's called indexing. Now, indexing is like a lot of people that's into the stock market, they know how to invest. They probably good at buying a stock maybe, but the average person just doesn't know what stock to buy. And John Bogle and Warren Buffett, they'll say invest in indexes. Well, the power of indexes is when the stock market goes up, you go up as well. But when the stock market goes down, an index will stay flat. So the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you stay flat. You just never lose anything that you earned. So if the market goes up, you go up. The market goes down, you're going to stay flat. So it depends on where you are in retirement. Like if you were retired here and you were in the stock market, you'd be happy because you were way up here. But if you retired down here, you'll be crying. So you have to think about which line do you want your retirement to be in. And a good show to watch is the PBS documentary called The Retirement Gamble. And it talks a lot about this. Now, if you're wanting to invest in the stock market, it's the rule of 100. So basically, all it does is say you take your age and you subtract it from 100. So if you're 60 years old, subtract it from 100, you should have no more than 40% of your money in the stock market. And that's if you want to invest in the stock market. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket, okay? Now, distributing your wealth. Distributing your wealth is when you retire. And for the math, we're going to say you retired and you got $1 million saved in your retirement. Well, this advisor, William Bingham, he created this metrics in 1990s. So he said, once you retire, you could take 4% of your money out. So if you had $1 million, 4% would be 40,000. But if the market was down, you may not be able to take 4% out. You may only be able to take 2% or 3%. Because what he's saying, if you take 4% out and then you make at least 4% in your portfolio, it would keep growing. So it would last possibly until you're 95. So you have to think, is that okay with you? Do you want a possibly or possibility, or do you want something that's guaranteed? And there are some products out there that will guarantee you that you will get the same amount of money or an increase in money, regardless of what the stock market does. So let's look at this. What do Bernie Madoff, baseball, and annuities have in common? It's Bobby Bonilla Day. And I kid you not, I remember reading about Bobby Bonilla article a long time ago. So basically, the Mets owe Bobby Bonilla $5.9 million. But the article I read said Bobby Bonilla was not a good player. And I don't know this. I don't watch baseball except when I watched it with my granddad. But Bobby Bonilla, but the Mets owed him 5.9 million and they were going to pay him. But instead, he said no. He wanted to strike a deal with him. He said he wanted a guaranteed yearly payment of $1.2 million, 1.19, almost $1.2 million. And he wanted it until he was age 70. So they agreed. They agreed to pay him that annuity at 8% interest paid on the 1st of July in 2011. And he would get that $1.2 million until he's 70 in 2035. Now, 8 years after Bobby Bonilla's deal, the Mets figured they would just pay him off because they were investing with Bernie Madoff anyway. And they knew they would make way more than 8% with Bernie Madoff. So they started investing with Bernie Madoff. But we all know what happened with Bernie Madoff, right? In 2009, he pled guilty. They made a movie about him. You know, you can watch it on YouTube, you know, the real story. But he cheated thousands of investors out of an estimated $20 billion on a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme. People lost all their money. So basically, it says crime doesn't pay, but successful contracts with annuities do. So Bonelli is making more money than some of the players are to now. You know, that's just amazing. So basically, people would say, you know, some people would have got that 5 million up front. But since he's getting the 1.19 million until year 35, he'll almost have $30 million worth of payments. And that's what people say, that's too good to be true. But annuities will do that. Annuities will pay you until you pass away. You can run out of cash, but you will not run out of income with an annuity. So then some people said, well, suppose he would have took that $5 million and invested it in the stock market. So based on the S&P, he would have had 8.8 million by 2015, you know. So it just depends on where you want to be with your retirement, in the stock market, or you want something that's guaranteed. Now, this article goes back to Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth, you know, from 1923 to 29, he was a slugger, right? But he said, I may take risk in my life, but I will never risk my money. I use annuities and I never have to worry about my money, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to play ball forever. And his insurance agent introduced him to this company, Equitable Insurance. It's now AXA Equitable. That's one of the companies we still represent. But Babe Ruth invested his money in an annuity. So when he was not able to make money anymore. His human capital had gone down. He couldn't play ball anymore. So now he's getting a check, or he was in his lifetime, getting a check from his annuity every year. And he thought it was so cool. He got one for his wife as well. We know now you can get joint annuities, but he got one for his wife as well, which is so cool. So the next thing we have to think about is the taxes. So there's three types of taxation. So your taxable accounts are your stocks, your bonds, your CDs, right? Then you have tax deferred that we talked about. You got traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs. You have qualified annuities. When you retire and you want to roll your money over to an annuity, if you had the money in a 401k, then that was a qualified account. So if you roll it over, it's going to still be qualified. Some people ask me, well, do I have to pay taxes on it? Well, you've never paid taxes on the 401k money. So when you roll it over, it's a qualified annuity. You don't pay taxes when you roll it over or transfer it. But once you take money out, you pay taxes at that time. Then there's tax-free. You can have Roth account, Roth IRAs, life insurance, and municipal bonds. And those are the only three tax-free vehicles that's out there. So we look at the taxes through the years, and I couldn't believe this, but during the Reagan administration, taxes was like at the highest they've ever been, 90%. And really now, taxes are the lowest that they've ever been. So with that being said, you've probably heard of something called a Roth conversion. So a Roth conversion, I'll explain this to you. So basically, you start here. You're contributing money to a pre-tax retirement account while you're working, right? Then you decide, and you can do it at 59 and a half or at age 55 if you leave your job. But then you want to, when you get ready to retire or leave the job or whatever, you can transfer your employer's retirement account into an IRA, right? Well, then you convert that traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. Now, when you convert it, the thing that a lot of people leave out is when you convert it that year, you have to pay taxes on it that year, okay? Because now you paying taxes now. So when it grows, you don't pay taxes. But with the conversion, you have to wait 5 years before touching the money. But then once you do, you withdraw the money out, penalty-free, income tax-free. Anything you've gained on that money, whatever it's made on that money, you take it out and you never have to pay taxes on it. So then you can just withdraw that money without paying taxes on it, which is really cool. But that's only if that will suit you and what tax bracket you're in. But this is the lowest that taxes have been. So you may want to think about that. So some other things we think about is MYGA versus bank CDs. So a MYGA is a multi-year guaranteed annuity. And we all know what a bank CD is, but both of these are similar to each other. They're normally short-term durations, 2 years to 5 years. The big difference with the CD is that the interest is taxed, even though you don't take income out. If you have a bank CD or money in the bank or whatever, you're going to get a 1099 interest form. So you're going to have to add that income to the interest to your income. All right. But with a MYGA, a multi-year guaranteed annuity, you don't get a 1099-R. That interest is built up. It's going to stay in your annuity until you're ready to take it out. So when you start taking some of it off, that's when you'll pay taxes on it at that time. Okay, but you're not going to get a statement every year. And also your multi-year guaranteed annuities, they normally carry a higher interest rate that you can get than you can with the bank. We talked about a private IRA. That's another way that you can save money. Or you can use a private IRA to roll funds over once you're 59 and a half and you have a qualified account. Now, if you have that, immediately you're going to save on your advisory fees, because when you roll money over to your private IRA, you don't pay a fee for doing that. I mean, there are some plans that if you want, they have a fee, but that's depending on what kind of plan you want. But overall, you do not have to get a plan with a fee. So that's going to cut that out immediately. You have no broker fees with these plans, okay? And again, it's tax-deferred growth, all right? You can set it up for your own pension, so you could never run out of money like we discussed. I mean, Bobby Bonilla had his going from 2011 to 2035, because you get more money if you set it up to pay it for the rest of your life, then the check will be a little more. But if you run out of money, you'll never run out of income because the company is obligated to pay you. You have a guaranteed commitment from the insurance company that you will get that money. And we talked about long-term care. Some of these plans include some long-term care. It's pretty cool. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be in the market? Because you're in the market, like I said, you're your own fund administrator. You take on the risk of 100% market gains. You take on the risk of 100% market losses. But then you may have an annual fee as well. And I've seen them run from a 0.50 to 2%, maybe some higher than that, but that's your normal. Or you can determine you do not want to be in the market. So if you do not want to be in the market, then that's another option for you. You can have growth, safety, just like the indexing, all right? Guaranteed income, a lot of things. Another thing you have to think about in retirement is long-term care. Now, if you want, you can Google, I was going to say you get a copy of this and you can click on it. But if you Google cost of care calculator, you can put that in there and it will say how much the care is in your town. So you put Tennessee, you can put how much the cost of care is now, and then it'll tell you how much the cost of care is going to be in 20 years. So a lot of the financial professionals, one of my clients told me, she heard that they told her to get long-term care when you're 50 or 55. And that is the craziest thing ever. Well, I don't supposed to say crazy, but that doesn't make any sense. If you can afford long-term care, like during your working years when you're making the most money, that's when you should get long-term care. There are some long-term care plans now. They're called hybrid long-term care plans. And those plans, you can pay them up in 10 years or 20 years. Imagine paying your plan up. The premium never changes. It stays the same. And then when you retire, you don't have to worry about long-term care. And when you say, well, Sandra, what is long-term care? Long-term care is if you cannot do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. And it's basically everything you do every day. Like, you get up in the morning and you hold yourself, you're not ready to go to the bathroom, that's continence. But then you get up and you walk yourself to the bathroom, that's toiletry. Then when you get there, you use the bathroom. So that's, you walk yourself to the bathroom, that's transferring. So you transfer yourself on your own. You can do it without somebody helping you. So that's transferring. Then you go and you use the toilet. That's toiletry. Then after you use the toilet, you're going to take a bath. You can bathe yourself. Then you're going to dress yourself. Then you're going to go and you're going to feed yourself. Those are 6 things that you do every day. And if you can't do 2 of those things, then you will need long-term care. So you have to think about how will you handle that and how will you pay for the cost of long-term care. Now I have another presentation. It is totally on long-term care. I just took these 2 slides out. But the cost of long-term care, you got nursing home. Are you going to pay for nursing home out of your pocket? Or are you going to transfer that risk to the insurance company and let them pay for it, pennies on the dollar? Nursing home, a lot of people think Medicaid. Well, Medicaid can pay, but not Medicare. So Medicaid is when you just don't have any money. So right now, for most states, you can't have more than $2,000 in your bank account. If you have more than $2,000 in your bank account, then you're not going to get Medicaid. All right. Long-term care consists of assisted living. Somebody may come in and do assisted living or a facility, or you may need home health care. So those are different forms of long-term care. Long-term care policy covers all of that. And there are some other policies that only cover home health care. They are least expensive, but it's better to have something than nothing. So don't think you can't afford some form of long-term care. You just got to call us and we'll get you some quotes. Next thing in retirement planning is maximizing your Social Security. If you haven't done this, because a lot of people do not get the statements anymore, You want to go to socialsecurity.gov, SSA.gov, because Social Security will make up about 36% of a lot of people's retirement. There used to be something called the three-legged stool, but as they say, that three-legged stool is now wobbly. And you may not have a three-legged stool because back in the day, you had a pension plan, you had Social Security, and you had personal savings. Those three made up your retirement plan. And so right now, some people only have two, some people only have one of those. So we have to plan for retirement to maximize your Social Security. And no one can tell you when to get your Social Security. However, you have to think about it. If you want to get Social Security at 62 just because you're eligible for it, you are going to be getting about 70 to 75% less than what you would normally get. If you wait until your full retirement age, and that depends on your birthday, a lot of people's full retirement age is like 66 and some months. Some people's full retirement age is 67. But if you wait till your full retirement age, you're going to get 100% of your Social Security benefit. And some people that I know, a lot of entrepreneurs or people that work on these jobs that they love, it's not, stressful for them. They're waiting until they're 70. Then you're going to get a lot more Social Security. But Social Security is going to be depending on you. Do you need the money? How's your health conditions? It's a lot of things like that that you have to consider. And there's another presentation on that. So then when you're 65, you're eligible for Medicare. So you have two choices. You got original Medicare with a Medicare supplement plan and a prescription drug plan, or you can get a Medicare Advantage plan. And a good place to go to look at the videos is Medicare and You. There's a handbook. You can find it online. They have a new book every year. CMS.gov has a YouTube channel, and it is very, very good. Some of the videos are older, but they still are pertinent in what's going on today. So some people want to retire before 65. If you retire before 65, you're going to have to pay additional health care coverages. So just to wrap it up, the things we talked about, if you get an annuity, you have guarantees and all these things we talked about through this. You got growth, you got tax deferral. There's a lot of things that you can get with an annuity. People say they don't understand annuities. Annuities have been around forever. I mean, your Social Security is an annuity. If you have a pension, your pension is an annuity. Annuity offers guarantees. And that's about all you need to know about annuities because they're going to offer you a guarantee and they're not going to allow you to run out of money if you set it up as a pension. All right. So that's the thing you need to know about annuities. Then you can also implement a non-qualified plan like a lot of these people doing, like the coaches done. But I love this slide because even though the coaches are using them now, these executives are using non-qualified plans funded with cash value life insurance. You've got people like J.C. Penney and Walt Disney who used their cash value life insurance policy during the Great Depression because at that time, the banks had run out of money. And so the banks didn't have any money, so they had to go to their cash value life insurance. So you've got Doris Christopher. She founded the Pampered Chef in 1980 in her basement. And what she did, she borrowed $3,000 from her cash value life insurance. Isn't that awesome? And you know what? Warren Buffett ended up paying, and it's an undisclosed amount, but they say about $900 million for her business. And it started out with her getting $3,000 worth of cash value from a life insurance policy. And, I've got two personal stories that are just so cool. But one, I was on a company trip and you have to have a roommate. And so my roommate came in and she was a beautician. She said when the markets crashed, nobody was getting their hair done and she didn't have any money. She went to her insurance agent and she was amazed with how much cash value she had in her life insurance policy. So she ended up becoming a life insurance agent because that was such a good story. It pulled her out of a bind. And I only know one Black female personally that her grandparents started her with a cash value life insurance when she was 19. They told her that she was paying for a car note that they had bought her, but they was actually putting in $210 a month on a 19-year-old with a life insurance. And now she's like 36, 37 years old. I mean, it's just such a great plan. She's got 647,000 in there. Last time I saw it, it was some years ago. And, she can retire at age 50 with getting $210,000 out of her life insurance policy, income tax free. It is such a good story. So we're going to review and reduce your total monthly spendings. That's what we're going to do to get started. You have to live beneath your means, track your expenses, transfer your risk to somebody else, and you want to leave a legacy. And the one thing I want you to make a note of, Netflix, if you have Netflix, they have a series called Money Explained. It's only 5 episodes. It's one season, 5 episodes, and each episode is from 18 to maybe 20 minutes. And so if you watch that Money Explained, it is a very educational series on Netflix. So to recap our retirement income plan, you're going to set up a retirement roadmap, whether you use qualified funds or non-qualified funds. You're going to think about your retirement, your long-term care planning, and your legacy planning. Then you got to figure out how are you going to access your qualified funds? How are you going to get money out of that when you retire? You're going to do a rollover, transfer. You're going to do some Roth conversions, while you're working if you're over 55 or 59 and a half. When are you going to take Social Security? Then you got to do your Medicare planning. There's a lot of moving parts to this puzzle. But if you work with a financial advisor, we'll just help you along the way. And the final thing on retirement, when you retire, you want to have a paycheck and a playcheck. I read a book by Tom Hegna, and it was called Paycheck and Playchecks. And it was such a good book. I mean, I listened to the book. I listened to his audios when I put it in my car and I was driving. So I put the CDs in and listened to the CDs. But it's really a good book. It's Tom Hegna. It's called Paycheck and Playchecks. But when you retire, you want that paycheck that's going to pay all of your bills, all of your mandatory living expenses. You want to make sure you get a paycheck for that. But then you want that paycheck to do whatever you want to do. Go on vacation, do whatever you want to do with it, just go to the movies or whatever. So you want a paycheck and a playcheck in retirement. So that's the end of the presentation. You can set an appointment with us by going on the website at www.womenfinancialpower.com, and you can click on this Meet with Us, and you can schedule a virtual 15-minute appointment. I think it's called virtual coffee in there. You can just set up a 15-minute phone conversation and see if we're able to help you or not. You can call us at the office number. You can text or call the mobile. And there's my email address, sandrab@womenfinancialpower.com. This Executive Strategies Group, LLC.com. I'm a manager with Executive Strategies Group because we work with professional women business owners. We also work with independent agents. So that's what Executive Strategies LLC is. We work with independent agents. So give me a call and let me know if you have any questions. And so that is the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions, please click on go to womenfinancialpower.com and schedule a 15-minute virtual coffee. Thank you so much for watching the presentation.